My female 35, husband 33, has a friend, Austin, male 32, who he's known from college. They're like brothers, and together they've extended their friend group. Now the group has over 7 guys who always hang out together. Unfortunately, Austin and I don't get along. He seems to be mocking my infertility and brings it up occasionally. It hurts because I've always wanted children, and for him to make it a constant topic of conversation hurts. My husband thinks it's just me being hypersensitive. Anyway, about a month ago, Austin and I got into a fight after he commented on my infertility by saying that I should hurry up and give him a nephew or niece because my biological clock is ticking. We were planning on going on a trip together, but Austin disinvited me because I yelled at him for what he said and ruined his dinner. I said I was perfectly okay with that. In fact, I felt so much relief I no longer had to be around him anymore. For the first time, my husband was okay with me being away from Austin, but said he still wanted to go on the trip. I said nothing till he told me he still expects me to pay for his travel expenses. I refused and said he was on his own. He started an argument about how I was doing this to punish him for not staying home with me, and told me that my issue was with Austin, not him. I told him he could get the money elsewhere, but he's unable to borrow any more money and add to his debts after he got fired in May. He insisted, and I refused. Then he started calling me spiteful and unfair for refusing to pay for his travel expenses to get him to stay home with me. Finally, he said his relationship with Austin is more significant than just a few comments Austin made and bigger than my exaggerated sensitivity and insecurity. Now he's sulking until I cave in and give him the money. Am I the idiot for insisting on not paying? Do I understand this correctly? Your husband's unemployed, in debt to the point where he has no remaining credit, and he wants you to bankroll his vacay with someone who's an idiot to you? Wow. Not the idiot OP, but why are you with him? But wait. There's probably more to the story. Austin won't have just decided to put this pressure on OP without influence granted. Mocking each other and hating on the missus is a cliche staple in some male circles. I bet that hubby is bad-mouthing OP in some capacity, or at the very least, has informed Austin of his frustrations repeatedly. Totally agree with you there. OP is likely being mocked, and Austin's just saying to OP what OP's husband says to his friends in private. Husband probably enjoys seeing his friends and laughing at his wife's expense too. Totally not appropriate or okay. Dump that loser, OP. Find a man that'll stand up with you, not step on you to help his little friends up. Austin isn't brutally honest. He's a brutal bully. So be brutally honest with your husband. Tell him he's broke and unemployed. Remind him daily why he's still fired. Then in front of Austin, ask your husband when he'll get a job. Do the same as what he and Austin do to you about your fertility, and tell them they're being sensitive. You're just being brutally honest, and it's just factual that your husband failed at his job, got fired, and is too hopeless to find another. I'd consider leaving my partner over crap like that, but I'm sure you have other stories here. Tell Austin to get out. Take his freeloading buddy with him, and get out. Maybe he'll be more willing to get off his butt and get a job if Austin tells him to. I think OP is misspelling ex-husband. Maybe OP is her hubby's beard, and Austin wants OP's hubby to wait until OP gets pregnant before OP's hubby can file for divorce. Don't get me wrong, it is 50% malicious dark humor on my part, 50% genuinely wondering if this is the case. Honestly, with Austin's comments about wanting her to give him a niece or a nephew, it does sound like that. Austin assumes that once the baby's born, OP will be too busy taking care of the kid and out of his hair when he wants to hang out with OP's husband. And given the husband's performance in this narrative, it's probably what the husband wants and expects too. Just joining the Greek chorus trying to stop a tragedy in the making, OP do not have a child with this man. Back about 3 months ago, I lost my job as an RN following a gym accident that left me partially paralyzed in my left leg. I had to go through PT, but it wasn't super severe by any means, and I regained most mobility by last month. I'm still in PT, however, because there are certain things I cannot do, like bending the leg without me guiding it with my hands. So it looks like I'm walking with a peg leg, basically. During this time, my mother-in-law sent my husband like $600. We didn't ask her for the money, but she knew we were pretty hard up at that time because my insurance doesn't cover all of PT, and it was rather expensive, so our savings was going away at an alarming rate. Also during this time, my mother-in-law made me feel like absolute crap because she kept commenting on how broke she was and saying, well, if I hadn't helped you guys out, stuff like that. I often reminded her that we did not ask for help. She tried sending us more money shortly after that, and I refused to accept it because I wasn't about to have that crap dangling over my head, just like my scum family had done for years. I hate the "you wouldn't have that if it weren't for me" BS. It's the reason I refuse most help. Thankfully, I was able to start a new job from home about a month back, and we were able to start coming up with the money to pay mother-in-law back. Well, my husband went to his mother's yesterday to give her a portion of the money we owed, and when he returned, he started talking about wanting to give his mom like $400 extra. I asked why, and he mumbled some excuse of, well, she didn't have to help us. I told him I wasn't about to do that because $400 is like 34 hours of work, close to an entire paycheck. Well, to sum it up, he later admitted that his mother had said that she deserves interest on the loan since it took us so long to pay it back, and she almost went broke trying to help us. Generally, she is not a money-hungry person, or even this ignorant, if I'm being honest, but I'm still unwilling to do it. I said no, and if he plans to start paying her back interest, especially where he's been doing other things for her on top of this, like redoing her porch, painting her house, burning brush, mowing her 6-acre lot, etc., then I would be rethinking my options and potentially pulling my money from the shared account, because I'm not going to be funding his mother extra money on a loan we didn't ask for, and now it's going to be cutting into my paychecks and bill money. He kept arguing, saying she didn't have to help, so I snapped and said, I didn't ask for help, and I said no. I was calm before this. He says I'm an idiot for losing my cool over money, and that I'm acting selfishly, because again, she didn't have to help. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. $400 in interest on a loan of $600 for 3 months? That's over 260% APR. She's a loan shark. I hope your husband's not in charge of the family finances. Are you 100% certain he didn't accept extra money from her behind your back? Because that's more interest than a pawn shop or a cash advance would have the gall to charge. And it sounds to me like he's trying to cover paying her back in full without admitting to you what in full actually is. Drop her a text and say there's some confusion about how much she lent you both. Can she clarify? Technically, she gave you a gift of $600, and that's how any court would see it if she decided to take you to small claims. First, any interest charged has to be agreed upon in writing before you even accept a loan. What that entitled mother-in-law is attempting to charge is usury and is illegal. Even if she was going to claim a super high interest rate, the kind that families who like each other would never charge, say 25%. You need to make your husband understand that all of the small chores he does for her have a financial cost or burden that he's giving away for free. If mother-in-law wants to play a tit-for-tat BS game, I say let her bring it on. Not the idiot, and do not pay a $400 VIG on a $600 gift. My 45 male wife died 1.5 years ago, leaving me with our twins, Sam, nearly adult male, and Sienna, nearly adult female, and our youngest, Sean, teen male. I love my kids with all my heart, but honestly, my wife was the one that held us all together. Not that I wasn't involved, but she was the nurturing one who handled many of my kids' more personal issues, and they usually came to her about things before me. Sean came out to her first, before anyone else. She looked after everyone. Things have been less than stellar since she passed, and none of us have taken it well, especially not me. The kids are all over the place. Just over the last year, Sam has started dating this girl that he skips class for and follows around everywhere, and his grades have dropped. Sienna's been taking and selling her mom's old pain meds, while Sean quit wrestling and spends his time sneaking boys in and out of the house at all times of the night. I'm just at a loss as a dad right now. The straw that broke the camel's back was when Sam came home Friday night and told me he wanted to drop out of his senior year in the fall to ride around with his girlfriend around the country. I decided then that I couldn't handle this, and I told all the kids to pack some clothes and that we were going to my parents'. I called my parents ahead of time and explained the situation and that I needed the kids to stay with them for a few months while I got our situation sorted, and they agreed. When we got there, I told the kids the plan and that we would start family therapy soon. Of course, they were none too pleased about it, but they understood. On the other hand, my brother didn't, and they came over yesterday when they found out and told me that I was taking advantage of our parents and that as a man and their dad, I should be pulling my family together. I tried to explain why I was doing this, that I couldn't be the dad they needed right now, and that their grandparents could give them the stability and attention I can at the moment, and they would be less likely to get in trouble with them. Instead, they just told me I was a crap dad, and I needed to try harder instead of making them stay with their grandparents. Am I the idiot here? You are the idiot. In the past, you admit you dumped the emotional work on your wife. For the last 1.5 years, you never went to therapy, didn't get your kids into therapy, and you say you also didn't step up. Now you kick out all 3 children and put the responsibility for them on your grandparents. I'm sorry for your loss, but you definitely made mistakes in my opinion. Not the idiot. It's not going to look heroic, but if you're at your limit, you're at your limit. Trying to power through on empty will leave even more of a power vacuum. As long as you don't safe surrender them to your parents, and you're still a consistent presence during this process, it's making the best of a bad situation. Get better, then get your kids better. I hope it works out. You are the idiot. I'm so sorry for the death of your wife, but remember, you didn't just lose your wife. Your children lost their mother. It would help if you grieved with your children as a family, not send them somewhere else so they must grieve without you and you without them. Family therapy is a good idea, but it should have happened a long time ago. My boyfriend, 29, and I, 26 female, are currently long distance. We take turns visiting each other. He came to see me after almost 2 months of seeing each other. We finally were to make plans. I requested to have 5 days, which was approved by my job. I've worked there for 6 years. It was after my shift and I was heading out quickly. I had to pick my boyfriend up from the airport. I clocked out, and while I was saying bye, my new boss of 2 weeks stopped me, and he asked if I could cover a shift since one of my coworkers called in sick. We're short-staffed and he needs me to stay for a couple of more hours. I had a 10-hour shift. I was exhausted. I responded, "No, I'm sorry, but I'm unable to, and I can't stay late. I've covered it before. I don't mind, but I had somewhere to be." I mentioned I was picking up someone at the airport. He told me they could take an Uber. My boyfriend wouldn't be happy with me if I did that with him. Also, he has no key to my apartment. No one else wanted to stay, and I was the 3rd person asked to stay that said no. I said, "Sorry, I just can't tonight. Another time." He called me a lousy worker, and I'm not a team player. I said I'm not a team player, and walked past him. I called out, "I'll see him in 5 days." While driving to the airport, I kept getting calls and texts from him. It got so bad that I had to pull over and turn off my phone. Finally, my boss wanted me to come back to work. I had to turn on my phone so my boyfriend could contact me. My phone was flooded with text messages, ding after ding. I think I got close to 15 texts. I blocked his number. I was so happy to see my boyfriend. I was getting emails from him constantly when I was supposed to be on my time off. I don't respond and I rarely take a vacation. One, he was asking me stuff to which I don't know the answer. Second, even if I did, I'm not telling him. I don't know, it was starting to get petty. I still had fun with my boyfriend. When I went to work, my boss called into his office. He blew up at me for being unprofessional and is still new to this job. I should have helped, or at least replied to the emails. I responded other people could have helped him. It's not my responsibility when it's my vacation time. I got my first ever write-up. Is this something I'm missing? Did I do something inherently wrong here? I'm considering reporting him. However, he is still new to his job. Am I the idiot? Edit. I'm Canadian. Not the idiot. What he did is unethical. He's a lousy boss with incredibly poor boundaries. Get straight to HR and report him for harassing you on vacation time. I would also formally request that time off be reallocated to you, as you had to spend it worrying about your boss's reaction. You do need to report him. I guarantee you're not the only one he's doing this to, and it'll only worsen. If you were the third person to say no to taking over that shift, what did he do to the first two who said no? Did he harass them too? Did he only do it to you because he knows you're a team player and more likely to cave? Either way, he's an idiot, but it might be interesting to know which kind of idiot you're dealing with. I once had a boss pull the "I've asked everyone else, you're my last option" card, and when I asked my colleagues, none of them had been asked. People like this boss might not have asked, or if they did, not pushed back on when someone said no, apart from OP, because of many things, gender being one. Perception of the likelihood of reporting him could be another. Yep, report to HR in writing and show all text and emails. Hold that info for the Labor Department, just in case you get fired. You may want to start looking for a new position if he's still your boss, because 1, he will turn it into a toxic work environment, and 2, you'll be replaced once he no longer needs you. Someone who's unprofessional will hold a grudge. My son has a teddy bear that he's very attached to. Since he takes it everywhere, it isn't in the best shape, and my husband's tried buying him new teddies, but he still prefers his old bear. I flew home from Greece 2 days earlier than my son and husband. When we got here, my son kept asking for his bear, but I couldn't find it. So I asked my husband where it was. He told me he had left it there because he had bought our son a new teddy that he liked more. I thought he was joking, since our son will play with the new teddy, but he'll always go back to his bear. So I told him to go back to Greece and get it. But he laughed me off and said that he'd get it in 2 weeks, as that's when he plans to return. We ended up fighting because I told him I was being serious and he needed to go back immediately. And he said I was being ridiculous, and this was why our son was so attached to the teddy. I was even angrier when it was time for our son to go to bed, but he wouldn't stop crying because he couldn't find his bear. So I brought up how we needed to go and get it again, and I wouldn't drop it until he agreed to go sooner. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. Him for leaving the teddy, you for being annoying about it and not even considering the most obvious option, having one of his family members send it through the post. Like, hello, climate impact? 2 flights for a teddy bear? You are the idiot for making him go back. Also, your child will learn to live without it. It's not the end of the world. It'll be a couple of sleepless nights, sure, but it will end. Grow a pair. Your son needs to learn how to deal with disappointment, and so do you, to be honest. I feel bad for your kid's father. Not the idiot. All the adult logic in the world can't override your son's reaction. It doesn't matter how other Teddy is better, or whatever. Your son is bonded and that's that. Husband needs to make it right ASAP. But far more importantly, he needs to really understand that other people's lives aren't governed by his opinions. His son is his own person, and husband needs to respect that quickly. I can't believe these people would diminish a little kid's feelings like that. It's just a little kid. That poor kid. And he's just 2. My heart breaks for the little guy. And for that alone, I would send hubby's butt flying with a one-way ticket to his relatives. Imagine being a bully to your own son. Disgusting. So it's a little weird that a grown man is enforcing his toy preferences onto a small child. That isn't normal. I get the feeling OP isn't telling us everything if she's trying to make a man do an international flight to get the damn teddy.